Yeah, baby, he's gonna jump right there.
Big fish.
Big fish.
Big fish.
That's a big boy, man. He is way over 100.
That fish drug us. I mean, you know, just kept going and going and going. But he got going in that current and he started going, which wasn't too strong, but he was swimming towards that bridge. And that bridge was 3 miles away.
Then we got the bridge to deal with here.
Man, if this guy takes me under the bridge, I won't believe it.
Yes! Look at that guy!
That is a shark.
That's the biggest fish I've ever caught.
I thought you said you had
I got him, relax.
Oh! Dude, he just ripped my boat off.
Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, with Captain Tom Rowland and Captain Rich Tudor.
That was an awesome day, probably my favorite day of the year, going down there and getting on those big tarpon on the shrimp hatch.
I love the shrimp hatch. It's something that for years I really targeted, and you know, that water, that Big Pine area, Sugarloaf, that's really my home water. That was just right out my back door, and that was a phenomenon that was a big part of my fishing all the time. And what's going on there is you can find the tide where you're going to have that outgoing tide, generally calm conditions, and you're going to have decomposing leaf litter in the mangroves combined with the grass mats that are decomposing as well. And they put off this tannic acid, which kind of looks like the iced tea colored water. And there are little shrimp and all kinds of creatures up there just kind of fighting for their life, trying to swim out of that water, which is not really, it doesn't have a lot of oxygen in it. Well, the tarpon, as you know, has an air sac. So they can go into water that's very poorly oxygenated. Gulp air, and they can absolutely go in there and clean house. What's going on there is that the tarpon are actually forecasting when that's going to happen. So they're forecasting a situation, we're forecasting a situation, we're meeting there, and hopefully we're going to be able to catch the tarpon. Some days you can really smoke them in that situation.
Oh gosh.
I'm on it.
Which way?
Left. Well, that was a good opportunity. There's another one right there.
Get a few shots like that, we're gonna catch one. These are,
Boy, this is exciting.
100-pound class fish, right?
Yeah.
What was cool to me is we learned a couple different things on that day. You know, I fished those, you know, many times for the small tarpon throughout the fall, but hadn't really, you know, consistently scored on the big tarpon there. We were fishing, you know, in June when the big tarpon are still here, and leaving late that day, we actually went in there in the late afternoon. I had always thought that was a morning thing, you know, outgoing tide early in the morning, you know, with that grass decaying, but we went there late in the day, just when that tide started falling, and it was happening.
And it's really not a morning or an afternoon thing, it's more of a condition thing. You want calm conditions, and then you want the tides pushing all of that stuff out. And then if you have those calm conditions, the fish are gonna be there.
Good shot. Got him! Yeah, baby! He's gonna jump right there.
Big fish!
Big fish!
Big fish!
I remember watching that guy come and just slurping it right off the surface.
And it was cool because the color of the water, the light, the whole conditions didn't allow me to see into the water. But I saw where he rolled, I saw a bubble come up, and I knew the direction he was heading. Comes up and slurps it. I set the hook and I knew immediately this was a big fish. Here he comes. Big fish.
That was so cool, man.
Here
You're
it
looking
comes.
right under the surface there.
That was
Nice
awesome.
job,
That was just as good as a fly shot.
Nice job.
Fly with the frog. My bait had died and I just twitched it. Twitch.
When he rolled, I was like, whoa.
I'm telling you, this is a big fish. Look at these little shrimp. The little shrimp are everywhere.
Yeah,
Look at them.
they're
all
little tiny shrimp.
bouncing around. That's what he.
Classic shrimp.
He was at the shrimp line, but he saw that they were serving steak. Thought he might like to get some of that too, man.
Oh, there he is, big boy.
That is a big fish for this time of the year in this spot and this situation. Man, he slurped that
And
thing.
we got the light rods out.
That was
cool,
awesome.
Look how far he's drug us, man.
Yep. All right, we got to get closer. He's going to go through that bridge.
The Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, is brought to you by Yellowfin, only in a Yellowfin, by Mercury, by Hawks K, the only key you'll need, and by Motor Guide, Costa Sunglasses, and Power Pole.
Can't believe this guy hadn't jumped. Thought for sure he would jump as soon as he ate it. He's gonna give us a show right here next to the boat, though. Come on, big boy. There we go. He's about 20 feet in front of those weeds that are moving on the surface. Maybe 30 feet.
Yeah. We got all day, don't break them all.
I don't want him to jump. It's gonna be tough when he jumps because I got 50 pounds of weeds on here.
Yeah, I'm a little leery of that. Oh, look at that. That's a big boy.
I knew immediately this was a big, big fish.
I kept waiting for him to blow up because, I mean, you hooked him right next to the boat, and I just kept waiting for him just to launch, you know, right there. But he didn't launch. He just went, you know, like a freight train as fast as he could go.
You know, the whole fight on that fish was very strange. We hook him in the iced tea colored water, which we know doesn't have very much oxygen, so it kind of made sense that he was somewhat lethargic in there. He can't fight, even though he can take a breath of air through his air bladder, and he's still, that's not as efficient as the gills. This one, you know, is a fish that is in oxygen poor water, and it was just heavy and tough to fight. But the hardest part about that fight really was dealing with the weed lines. This is cool, man. I'll tell you what, if I wasn't doing this, this would be all over my line, and it would be...
That's all over your rod.
Yep, that's okay. I'd rather have it on my rod. I'm able to get it off my rod. He's going to the right in front of you.
I got him, I got him.
I'm gonna get it right off of this. All right, look at that.
Man, that worked good. That's a good trick, man. now you look like you tried that before.
There was about 600 pounds of weeds on there. That's enough to break you off. I mean, if he jumped right there, he would have broken me off for sure.
Now, was that something you just invented, or have you tried that before?
Well, I gotta say, I've done it before with a fly rod, but it works even better with this because your fly line's so fat.
Yeah.
But what was going on is he would go cut through those weed lines, and the weed lines, you know, if your line went over and under and over and under the weeds, you're in trouble. But if you can keep the entire line under the weeds, you're fine. But the fear there was that if I lifted it up and then went back down, you've got over, under, and it accumulates that, then it won't come through the tip. You know, and so you'll reel just a big mat of grass up to the tip, and then the hook, you know, then the line goes slack and the hook falls out.
Well, that was a good trick. I mean,
just put it down there.
I hadn't seen that before.
Yeah, well, you know, you got plenty of chances to check it out if you've never seen it before, because I think I had to do it about 40 times to land that fish.
Good job, man. Whew. Obstacles.
All right, we're good.
That was one of the coolest bites ever, man. Rolling that close in that slick water, just.
And just looking back that way, it's just black water, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, even though it's clear, it just looks
Oh, you couldn't see anything. Just all of a sudden, he just came out of nowhere and slurped.
We got lucky, man. I put the boat up in there where we had seen him roll, and I figured I'm just gonna stop and wait. We got lucky. That's where they wanted to roll.
It's where the shrimp hatch was going off. You can see those shrimp sizzling.
Most people know the stories about catching tarpon from things such as the palalo worm, which is a favorite of tarpon, and the time they hatch that they know to go and search for them. But not too many people know about what's sometimes called a shrimp patch. And that's a unique phenomenon here in the Florida Keys, and especially in the backcountry area, especially when you get a key that's very large, like Big Pine Key. Big Pine Key is one of the only keys that has still some of its own standing fresh water. And that can cause some different effects, including some of that freshwater runoff. And then when you get that in addition to windrows of some of those seagrasses that come up against the shoreline, you'll get a phenomenon where the organic material will start to decompose. That produces what we normally smell as a rotten egg smell. It's really hydrogen sulfide, but it's fairly toxic to most small organisms such as shrimp. When you get a buildup of that, especially behind a weed line that's pushed up against a shore that may have some surface rainwater or some runoff from mangroves, you'll get a water quality that looks the color of some of the organics that decay from it. Kind of looks like iced tea or root beer water. That's usually lower in salinity, and a lot of times it's very low in oxygen and may have some of that hydrogen sulfide to it. Now, tarpon are a different kind of fish. It's a fish that, as you've seen a tarpon roll, what that tarpon's doing is actually come to the surface, taking a gulp of air and pushing it back down through his gills so it can live in a spot that has that hydrogen sulfide or low dissolved oxygen. So they take advantage of some of these shrimp that when the water quality gets into that situation are having trouble staying in the water, jumping around on the grass. It's a perfect spot, just like a weed line is for dolphin. So this is a unique sort of phenomena here in the Florida Keys. It doesn't happen everywhere. Some backcountry guides know it, but it's a good place to take real advantage of some tarpon fishing.
It's a good-sized fish.
Yes, sir.
I like those.
Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, is brought to you by Lowrance and the all-new HDS Gen 2 Fish Finder Chart Plotter. Yeti Coolers, wildly stronger, keep ice longer. Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here. And by King Sailfish Mounts. Marine Formula Stable. And Scott Fly Rods.
I'm really impressed at how even in that water that our pilchard couldn't live in for a minute, that this guy is able to fight so hard.
Well, that's because a pilchard has gills. Of course, this guy has gills too, but he also has an air sac. He comes up and rolls. He can get oxygen to his brain and to his heart. Supplement that, the little bit of oxygen he can get with his gills. That's what they're doing in there, you know. Tarpon can go in there and just maintain his mental clarity and, you know, be able to go in there while the other fish are having a hard time.
Interesting example to see how long he's, even under duress, he's able to roll and get that gulp.
He wouldn't be so tough if he jumped about 3 or 4 times.
That's what I was thinking. That fish drug us. I mean, just kept going and going and going. I kept waiting for him. All right, he's taking another run. He's going to stop. We'd stop, let him run, so he'd be fighting the drag of that reel, and you kept putting more and more pressure on him. He'd get under the weeds, and then we'd get close to him, and then he'd make another run, and you wanted to use a dead boat, so you'd put more power on that fish. And but he got going in that current, and he started going, which wasn't too strong, but he was swimming towards that bridge, and that bridge was 3 miles away.
All right, I guess we got to go after him again.
Okay, here we go.
I do like for him to run out there on his own, though.
Yeah, we'll just keep.
There's a big run.
Oh, there's a jump. Yeah, nice.
That was kind of more of a leap.
Yeah, that tells me he's still fresh.
Hey, he's fresh, all right.
I think he just woke up, actually.
I don't like it that he's going towards the fresh ocean water.
No, that's not good. He was a huge fish. I mean, way over 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Big, fat fish. He did jump this one time off in the distance, like a greyhound jump. That was all I saw from him. It was kind of like one of those jumps where he looked so fresh. Halfway into the fight, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's a big boy, man. He is way over 100.
Man, looks like he's hooked right in the snout. Which is a good thing. It's probably the only reason we still got him on. Whoa, I'm pulling so hard. Man. Whew.
I'm gonna get right up close to him. We'll get a good look at him here.
Look at that trap ball over there.
Then we got the bridge to deal with here.
Man, if this guy takes me under the bridge, I won't believe it. You know, fishing tackle just keeps getting better and better. For the last 12 years, I've been working with Quantum to help them design the best saltwater tackle that we can find. And what we do is bring the guys down and have them actually go fishing with us and understand the conditions that we're in. And one of the things that we like to do is to fish for really big fish on really light tackle. Now, one of the biggest improvements this year is an additional reel that's a size 50. Now, in the past, Quantum had size 30, 40, and then jumped up to a 60. And the 60 was actually quite a different reel. It was really an offshore reel or a big game reel. The addition of this Catalyst 50 to the lineup of Quantum is really, really important to my fishing, because with 20-pound braid, we need a reel that's going to have a drag capable of stopping a fish of 150 pounds. We're going to catch that fish in 2.5 to 3 feet of water, so they're only going to have one direction to go, straight out. So the drag on one of these reels is incredibly important, but the other thing that comes into play is the line capacity. Now, with a 40 size reel, we were really pushing the limits of that reel with the line capacity, even with braid. A 150-pound tarpon could easily take all of your line. A big shark could do the same. So the addition of this 50 size reel in the Catalyst line is really important because it gives me a lot more line capacity while still maintaining a very thin body, lightweight reel that I can put on a rod that is not an offshore rod, but a rod that's going to allow me to cast a light bait extremely accurately to a fish that's in a shrimp hatch condition, or a fish that is selectively feeding, or that I have to be very, very careful and make a good presentation. So this type of combination has really become standard on my boat. A light rod that's capable of landing a fish like that, accompanied with a size 50 reel. I love the 50. Go check it out at Bass Pro. And if you do a lot of inshore fishing for big tarpon like I do, I think you're really gonna love this reel.
Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, is brought to you by Quantum Rods and Reels, fishing at a quantum level. By the Florida Keys in Key West, come as you are. And by Corrosion Block, Gamakatsu, and Loadmaster Boat Trailers.
I made a little headway on him there, as long as you're not in gear. I pulled him backwards about 4 feet there for the first time yet. Man.
Boy, it's crazy. Look how far he's drug us, man.
Yep, he's doing something. I pulled him backwards right there. I got a lot of line on him right there for the first time, really. All right, we got to get close. He's going to go through that bridge. You know, that fish was really cool because it took us through all the different types of water that were there. Back into the iced tea colored water, back out to the clear water, into the heavy current, and eventually down to the bridge. And when I hooked that fish, never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that I would have to fight him through the bridge, because we had so many other obstacles around us. You know, there were weeds and crab trap buoys and everything else, and even sailboats. You know, I would have thought that any one of those obstacles would have been where I would have had a hard time with that fish. Never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that it was a bridge 3 miles away. He's dead down the middle right now.
Steer him to the right.
Hang on. He's going left. Going left hard. He's going in the next one.
Watch your balance.
He's in the next one.
Remember to loosen the drag if you
I got
need
it. Everything's good.
Pull him right now.
I got him.
Go through this side.
Don't kill me. All right, go right through. He's going through.
I'm gonna have to reverse. Hold on. Try to steer him.
All right, go. Before he goes around that one. Oh, wait. Jeez. Hang on.
Clear?
Hang on. Okay.
Clear?
Barely clear. Woo, that was close, man. That was so close.
Keep him going to the
He
right.
almost went around that thing. I don't know where he is. He's headed over there again.
Ah! Oh, there he goes.
I knew he was going to do that.
It's all right, man. Good shot.
Hey, that fish deserves that. You know what I mean? He deserves that.
We drug us around for 3 miles, made it through the bridge finally, and got to the other side, and then, you know, and then you were putting some heat on them and just chafed through the leader eventually.
Yeah.
Just the strength of that fish, that's something I'll never forget.
That's good, man. Good job, dude.
That was great. That fish deserves that, but you know, that's the trick with those long fights. You just know it's a time bomb just ticking, because this leader is not made for that. He'll just rub you right through. He went through the knot.
That's awesome. Well, good stuff, man.
That was awesome.
See if we can go get me a shot at one of those.
There he is. Oh, you're in. We thought maybe we'll give it another go, and we go back in there. 2 seconds on the trolling motor, and man, there they are again.
It was amazing, you know, after all the time we were fighting that fish, to pull back in there, and it was still happening. Swirl on.
He's gonna eat you.
Eat it.
He got you? Good job, man. Good job.